Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Bankrupt Hippo YouTube channel. My name is Bryce, and this is a pre-game video. So what I decided to do is, well, let me back up for a second. The show Handmaid's Tale, I absolutely love it. It's been one of my favorite TV shows I think I've ever watched. I'm not usually one for TV shows, but there's just something about this series that's really spoke to me and really hooked me, and I've really enjoyed it. So I figured I'd make a video for people who feel the same way. So here we are. Basically, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to recap the season finale of season 3. So spoilers for that are ahead if you haven't seen it, in case you want to watch it, because season 4 is going to be actually premiering tonight on Hulu. I believe it's available at 11 p.m. Central Time, so midnight Eastern. So if you guys are looking to kind of get caught up or maybe can't remember the end of season 3, you've come to the right place. So we're going to talk about that real quick. So season 3 finale involves basically June executing her Mayday plan. What is the Mayday plan? The plan is to basically, for lack of a better word, smuggle a lot of kids, Marthas, and handmaids out of Gilead so that they can get to Canada and, of course, have their freedom and live, hopefully, a better life than they could in Gilead, because obviously Gilead is an awful place full of enslavement and worse things that you guys, if you've seen the show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So basically, June, she gets to execute this plan. The episode kind of starts out a little bit rocky because she's in the backyard of what is his name again? I can't remember his name. Whatever the commander she's staying with at this present moment in time, I can't remember off the top of my head, but she's in the backyard, and in the distance in the tree she sees a Martha and a child, and it's in the middle of the day, and that's like the one thing she didn't want to have happen was kids and Marthas being moved in the middle of the day, because obviously everybody's a lot easier to see in daylight like that. So she gets them in the house, and she's like, okay, she's still trying to keep calm, everything's doing fine, but then things just seem to not quite go right with these two. They both kind of, or at least the Martha kind of freaks out a little bit and has some regrets about leaving her home, so she tries to take her and the child with her, and June basically gets a gun. I forgot where she got the gun from, but she gets the gun, she points at both of them and says, if you leave, I'm shooting you, because it makes sense, right? Because if she allows her to leave with a child, there's a chance that she could go back to her commander and tell her all about June's Mayday plan, and obviously she can't risk that, because then no one gets out, no one gets saved, and she'll probably be hung on the wall for everybody seeing. Obviously nobody wants that. That's just a terrible thing. So long story short, Martha escapes, but she keeps the kid with her. I believe the kid's name is Rebecca, if I'm not mistaken. So one out of two ain't bad, and it turns out that the Martha running away from that situation doesn't really impact the overall outcome. So in a way, June kind of got lucky that the Martha kept her mouth shut, but who knows, maybe we'll find more about that in the season 4 premiere. One other thing I really wanted to note about the season finale of season 3 is that I forgot how amazing Elizabeth Moss is in this series. Like, her acting chops are just on display in this season finale. As the Martha's running away, there's a moment where she's obviously like really high strung. This is probably the most stressful situation you can find yourself being in, and she points the gun at the kid, and she's freaking out, she's enraged, she doesn't know what she's doing, and she realizes it right after, like, oh my god, what did I just do? And Elizabeth Moss just really, she portrays it in such a way where it's like, wow, you can really feel how heavily the situation in that moment really is weighing on June. It's like she's having this, for lack of a better phrase, come to Jesus moment where she's like, oh my god, like, you know, she's a completely different person before all of this started, and she's kind of seeing all of that come to fruition, which, no surprise, anybody in that situation would probably feel the same way, if not worse. So June, super strong person, and we kind of get to see her character grow and develop a lot more in the series finale too. And then plus that further gets reinforced just a couple minutes later when the commander comes home. I'm so mad I can't remember his name. I literally just watched the end of this season, but he was like, yeah, I'm cutting the deal, and she's like, it's not your decision to make, as she's holding this ginormous Glock or this piece on his kitchen table, and and he was like, hey, you're still in my house. And she's like, you think this is your house anymore? As she's holding this ginormous gun up to him. It was just like a wow, like that. June, that's a power move. Like that is a power move that nobody's gonna mess with. And she kind of basically grabs hold of the situation and really asserts her authority on it, and just demonstrating her confidence in handling really intense situations like she's had to do throughout the 3 seasons. So again, really showing her character growth and advancing that further and further. And plus, oh man, I have to say it again, Elizabeth Moss does a great job in portraying that. It's absolutely flawless. So moving on, basically, they get out, they get all these kids, all these Marthas. They're trying to sneak all the way from the house that they all gather in all the way to the airport, where they're all going to be smuggled on a cargo plane. Of course, they've got to be stealthy because they are being looked for. A lot of the eyes have seen a Martha with a child running around during the day, like we mentioned earlier on from the episode. And so they're looking for them, so they have to be extra cautious. They get to the airport, and they see that some of the eyes, or at least one of the eyes, is in an SUV, kind of like patrolling the airport. And so June, she's like, well, we've got to do something because these kids and these Marthas are getting out of here. So what she does is she sends them off in one direction. She goes in the other to distract the eye. We think she's going to be the only one to do it, to distract the eye, so that everybody else, including some of the handmaids, can leave. However, there is a large number of handmaids and Marthas that come to her aid to help distract the eye, so everyone else can get away. How do they do that? Of course, with the heaviest stones possible, by just chucking it at the 2 eyes. I believe there's actually 2 now that I think about it, because they're successful in knocking out one of them with a ton of these rocks, because they're hurling like these giant boulder-like stones, and it immediately hits one of them, and then the other fires back, has a spotlight on them. They kind of go back and forth, and then June does something really, really unexpected. She purposefully stands in the spotlight so that the eye can see her, the lone one that's actually not unconscious at this point with this ginormous rifle, and she lures him away. She runs away so that he chases after her, and then basically a lot of the kids and the Marthas, they get away successfully. However, in the chase between the eye and June is actually shot, because obviously the eye is pursuing her. They all just attacked him. He doesn't know how many of them there are, but she just attacked all of them, so he fires his rifle at her, ends up hitting her, so she's on the ground, and he's going to go turn her over, like really, really slowly. As soon as he turns her over, shoots him right in the chest, if I'm not mistaken, because she's got that gun, right? She's got that gun that her commander gave her earlier on, I believe, in a previous episode. I believe it was the second to last of the season. So she hits him, and she's like, oh, wow, thank God. And she basically tells him, call him off, tell him it's a false alarm, because then this will secure the way for the plane to get out of there with no issues. They can get across the border and get to Canada. He does that, he calls them off, and she says, good, thank you. And then, pow, it just basically executes him, which I don't really blame her. I really don't, because if she can't risk, if there's one thing I learned in this episode, she couldn't risk any chance of others letting her plan out. She couldn't risk the eye changing his mind and then quickly saying on the radio, help, and then everything getting foiled, and then the Marthas and the children. Like, there's just way too much at stake, and that's even kind of touched upon in the previous episode, when the commander's wife, that's going to bug me forever that I can't remember his name, but the current commander she's staying with, his wife, she almost ruins the plan, the Mayday plan for June, by just running around town and telling everybody, basically, not intentionally. She's got some kind of mental she's got some kind of ailment. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but anyways, she tries to kind of foil the plan and like run around and tell everybody. She's like, you cannot tell anybody. And later on in the episode, she overdoses on some kind of drug, and June basically just June finds her. She could do something, but she just kind of lets her die. At least that's the way I interpret it, because she couldn't risk anybody ruining the plan. And then same thing that goes for the Martha, now same thing that goes for the eye. So really, her decision to do that, to execute the eye at the end there, kind of makes sense to me. It doesn't kind of make sense. It totally makes sense to me. It was the only way to ensure everybody's safety. And so then we're left at the end there with all of the kids getting safely to Canada. There's a lot of moments. There's a lot of reunited. There's one particular reuniting moment with the child actually that was brought first to the house, Rebecca. She runs into, I have to assume what is her father, and you just see, it's just a really beautiful moment seeing a father, I'm presuming it's her father, a father and a child being reunited. It's just the way it was done. I thought it was done really nicely. Like my chest was like, my heart was beating fast. I'm like, oh my God, it was just such a great moment to see the fruits of June's labor and plan come together to make a really big difference. And I think that for us as the audience, it was a really nice payoff for the entire series up to this point. I would say much more even so the season. So really, really great moment there. I'm trying to think of what else I'm missing here. Oh yeah, so the episode ends essentially with June kind of having flashbacks about her life with Hannah and Luke, like them playing around in the park, which to me at first spoke to, I thought she was dying, like, or I thought she was going to die, like I thought that's how the season was going to end. But it turns out that a lot of the handmaids that helped her hurl the rocks at some of the eyes come, they pick her up, and they're carrying her somewhere. We don't know yet, because the episode just kind of ends as they're carrying her through the woods, hopefully to get some help for her gunshot wound, because like I said earlier, she got shot, I believe, in the abdomen by the eye or something like that. But anyway, so that's kind of where the series wraps up. All the kids get away to safety, and then June has a gunshot wound that the handmaids are trying to help her out with. They're carrying her somewhere, we don't know yet. So I'm really excited to see the very first episode of season 4. One, to see how that pans out and what's next, because first of all, where are the handmaids taking her? Because when they find her, it's the next morning, like it is daylight out. So I'm wondering if they went and got help of some kind and then decided to go and find June. I don't know what they were doing, what the logic is, or even where they're going to take her, because I can't think of anywhere in Gilead, at least that the series reveals to us, where they're going to take her. So that's like the main question I'm trying to figure out going into season 4, because June is our main protagonist and she is a very compelling character. So there's no way they're going to kill her off. And the trailers for season 4 obviously reveal that already. So it's not like that's a spoiler. She's not going to die. Like I think that's pretty clear by the trailers to season 4. She's not going to die. So I'm just curious to see how that's all going to get patched up and handled. And I'm also curious to see what the Marthas and the children who made it to Canada, what their lives are going to be like as they adjust to life outside of Gilead. I know that with some of the handmaids like Moira and Emily, who did get out in earlier seasons, they had some trouble adjusting at first. But I'm curious to see what the children, how they adjust to being outside of Gilead now. So a ton of good stuff that's going to happen. I really also want to know, I feel like we don't get as much time with Luke as we should, because I'm really curious to see how Luke is going to cope with all this. June wrote him a note basically saying, if you have to move on from me and create a life for yourself, please do that. I'm wondering if he will actually do that, or if he'll still wait for June, or how that whole love triangle between her, Luke, and Nick is going to pan out. I have guesses, not really any solid ones though, so that's another question I want to see answered, and I would love to see more of Luke's perspective on things, but gives us something to look forward to. So I'm going to keep this video a little bit shorter because I want to leave you all to enjoy the season 4 premiere of The Handmaid's Tale. If you guys are really excited for The Handmaid's Tale, jump down in the comments below. Let me know what you're excited for, what questions you want answered, all that other good stuff. So enjoy the series premiere, or the season premiere, I should say. Thanks so much for watching this video. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch each episode of season 4 once a week, and then do a video just talking about the episode I just watched and what I'm looking forward to in the next one. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Bryce. This has been a Bankrupt Hippo video. Enjoy this season premiere, and as always, have a great day, and I hope to see you in the next video.